Have you ever imagined what it would be like to wake up in the still darkness of a medieval monastery? When the world outside is cold, silent and sleeping, and the only sound around you is the faint rustle of robes and the soft echo of distant footsteps. Tonight, we'll journey back nearly 1,000 years into the hidden world of medieval monks. These were men who withdrew from the chaos of everyday life and dedicated their existence to quiet contemplation, prayer, and labor. As you listen, the chill of the flagstones beneath your feet, the faint aroma of beeswax candles drifting through the air, and the soft chants resonating from the chapel nearby. For the next 2 hours, we'll explore what life was truly like inside the silent walls of a monastery. We'll discover their daily routines, their simple meals, their endless copying of ancient texts, and the deep rhythm of prayer and work that shaped their days. So make yourself comfortable. Slow your breathing, and let your mind step gently into the slow and quiet life of a medieval monk. Imagine waking in darkness, hours before dawn. The monastery bell rings softly, its deep tone carrying through the silent halls. This is Matins, the first prayer of the day. First prayer, the monks rise from their straw-filled mattresses, moving quietly, their robes swaying gently as they enter the dimly lit chapel. Inside, dozens of candles flicker against cold stone walls. The chant begins, low, steady, and unbroken. It's a sound both haunting and comforting, a rhythm designed to quiet the mind and guide it toward devotion. After matins, there is silence once again. The monks return to their simple cells, small rooms barely large enough for a wooden bed, a single candle, and a cross carved into the wall. At sunrise, lauds, the next prayer, begins. By now, the faint light of dawn seeps through narrow windows, illuminating the monastery courtyard. The cold air carries the scent of damp earth and wood smoke. Outside, the monastery gardens wait. Rows of herbs, vegetables, and fruit trees tended with care. A monk's day is built on a cycle called ora et labora, pray and work. Prayer frames every part of life, but between these sacred moments, the monks labor with their hands. Some work in the fields, harvesting grains or pressing olives. Others tend to the scriptorium, a quiet room where they copy ancient manuscripts by hand. Imagine sitting there, the sharp smell of ink in the air, your quill scratching softly against parchment as golden letters come to life beneath your fingertips. Breakfast is simple, a small piece of bread, perhaps a bit of cheese, and sometimes a cup of watered-down ale or warm broth. Meals are eaten in silence. A single monk reads aloud from scripture, while the others eat slowly, listening to the soft echoes of his voice. Life here is not easy. Winters are bitter and long. Meals are sparse and plain. And yet, there is a strange peace in this existence, a rhythm of life unbroken by the noise of the outside world. As you listen to the soft chanting of monks in the distance, you can almost feel the weight of time itself, slowing down within these quiet stone walls. Imagine stepping into a long, narrow room, lit only by soft daylight filtering through tiny arched windows. This is the scriptorium, the quiet chamber where monks worked for hours, sometimes for entire lifetimes, preserving knowledge one letter at a time. The air here smells faintly of parchment and beeswax, a dry, comforting scent that seems to hold the weight of centuries. Rows of wooden desks line the walls, each holding a stretched sheet of animal skin, a quill pen carefully sharpened, and small pots of ink in muted shades of brown, black, and deep red. There is no sound, except the gentle scratching of quills and the occasional soft creak of a wooden stool. The work is deliberate, requiring patience that most of us today can hardly imagine. Each letter is formed slowly, as though it carries a sacred weight. A single mistake might mean scraping the parchment carefully with a blade and beginning again, a process that could take hours. Some monks were scribes, devoting their entire lives to copying scripture. Others were illuminators, turning words into works of art. They applied gold leaf to decorate sacred passages, using crushed gemstones and rare minerals to create vivid blues, greens, and scarlets, that still shine even today, hundreds of years later. Imagine sitting at one of those desks. Outside, winter winds might be howling across the monastery walls, but here inside the scriptorium, everything is hushed and still. The soft glow of candlelight dances on the parchment before you as you lean close, breathing slowly, focused only on the next delicate curve of your quill. This was more than copying texts. It was a form of devotion. The monks believed that through preserving these words, they were also preserving truth itself. Every illuminated manuscript was both a spiritual offering and a priceless contribution to human knowledge. And yet, it was slow, painstaking work. A single Bible could take a team of monks years to complete. Entire generations might pass, while the same texts were carefully copied and recopied, ensuring that the wisdom of one age would not vanish into silence. These manuscripts became treasures, not just for the monasteries, but for the entire world. Thanks to the scribes, ancient Greek philosophy, Roman history, and early scientific discoveries survived the turbulence of the Middle Ages. Without their patient hands, entire chapters of human knowledge might have been lost forever. In the corner of the room, a small brazier glows softly, filling the air with the faint scent of burning cedar. Outside, snow may be falling in silence, but here, within these ancient walls, time itself feels frozen, suspended in the quiet work of memory and devotion. This is the hidden world of the scriptorium, a place where the past was not just remembered, but carefully rewritten for the future. Imagine standing at the edge of the monastery courtyard, the cold morning air carrying the faint scent of wood smoke and damp earth. The stone walls rise around you, solid and timeless, but beyond them stretches the vast countryside, rolling hills, small villages, and winding dirt roads leading to places most monks would never see. Inside the monastery, life is ordered and still. But beyond its gates, the world is bustling with farmers, traders, travelers, and craftsmen. And though the monks live apart from this world, they are deeply connected to it. Step into a small stone chamber where sunlight filters through a tiny round window, illuminating shelves lined with clay jars and bundles of dried herbs. This is the monastery infirmary, where monks practice the art of healing. You can almost smell the crushed rosemary, sage, and lavender, mixed carefully into oils and poultices. Without formal medical schools, monks relied on ancient texts, copied in their own scriptoria, to treat illness and injury. They tended to villagers who came seeking help, mixing remedies from honey, herbs, and wine. Sometimes their treatments worked, sometimes they did not. But in an age when disease was common and doctors were rare, monasteries became sanctuaries of hope. Beyond the monastery walls, the fields stretch wide and open, divided neatly into plots of wheat, barley, and rye. Here, monks work side by side with laborers, their hands roughened by the plow and the sickle. Monasteries were centers of innovation in agriculture. They experimented with irrigation, rotated crops to keep the soil rich, and bred stronger, healthier livestock. Imagine standing at the edge of the fields as the sun sets behind the distant hills. The lowing of cattle drifts through the cool air, mingling with the faint murmur of evening prayer carried from the chapel. Inside a quiet stone hall, wooden benches are lined with carefully arranged scrolls and manuscripts. This is the monastery school, one of the few places in medieval Europe where a person could learn to read and write. Imagine a young boy, the son of a local farmer, sitting cross-legged with a worn wooden tablet in his lap. A monk leans gently over his shoulder, guiding his hand as he shapes the letters slowly, one by one, scratching them carefully into the wax surface. Monasteries became centers of learning and preservation. They safeguarded ancient knowledge, taught Latin, the language of the Church, and laid the foundations for Europe's first universities. What's remarkable is how monks shaped the outside world without ever fully stepping into it. Through their healing, their farming, their teaching, and their patient work preserving texts, they built connections across generations. And yet, each evening, they returned to their cells in silence. Beyond the monastery gates, the chaos of medieval life continued. Markets, festivals, feasts, and wars. But inside, beneath the soft glow of candlelight, the monks knelt once more in prayer, returning to the stillness that defined their lives. Even when unseen, their influence rippled outward, quietly shaping the world around them. It is still before dawn. The stars are fading, and the cold night air clings gently to the stone walls of the monastery. In the distance, a single bell tolls, low and steady, calling the monks from their narrow cells. One by one, they rise from their simple straw mattresses, pulling their rough woolen habits over their shoulders. Bare feet touch the cool stone floors as they move silently through narrow corridors, guided only by flickering candlelight. This is Matins, the first prayer of the day. Inside the chapel, a row of wooden stalls faces the altar. The air smells faintly of beeswax and incense, and a soft haze curls in the dim candlelight. The monks stand together, hands folded, heads bowed. And then, slowly, a single voice begins to chant, deep, steady, resonant. Another voice joins, then another, until the sound swells and fills the entire stone chamber, each note lingering in the air as though time itself has slowed to listen. The words are in Latin, ancient and mysterious. You may not understand their meaning, but you can feel their weight, an unbroken rhythm carried across centuries. After the chant fades, there is silence. Not the kind of silence we know today, filled with distant traffic or humming machines, but a complete stillness. A silence so deep you can almost hear your own heartbeat. For the monks, silence was more than absence of sound. It was a form of prayer, a way to listen inwardly, to make space for the divine. Even during their work, in the fields, in the scriptorium, in the kitchen, many monasteries followed the great silence, speaking only when absolutely necessary. The absence of words created room for reflection, for meditation, for a deeper sense of purpose. The monks' days were carefully structured, guided by the rule of Saint Benedict, a set of instructions written in the 6th century that shaped nearly every moment of their lives. They fasted often, sometimes eating only one small meal a day. They prayed 7 times daily, pausing their work to gather in the chapel, where the sound of chanting rose and fell like the tide. Time itself flowed differently here. Seasons changed, years passed, but within the monastery walls, the rhythm of life remained the same, steady, deliberate, eternal. In the quiet graveyards beyond the cloisters, simple wooden crosses marked the resting places of those who had spent their lives in devotion. Death was not feared here. For the monks, it was merely a passage, a door leading deeper into the mystery they sought daily through prayer. Imagine standing there now, among the soft grass and weathered stones, hearing the distant echo of bells. You feel the cool breeze on your skin, smell the faint earthiness of freshly turned soil, and sense the quiet acceptance that defined their existence. To live as a monk was to surrender the self, to become part of something greater, a life measured not in achievements or wealth but in prayer, stillness, and timeless devotion. And so, as evening falls and the final prayer, Compline, fills the chapel with low, steady chants, the day comes to its quiet end. The candles are snuffed out one by one, plunging the monastery into darkness. Outside, the world continues. Markets open, armies march, kingdoms rise and fall. But here, within these ancient walls, time seems untouched. The rhythm of prayer continues, just as it has for centuries, and will for centuries more. As you listen to their quiet lives, you might feel your own breath slowing, your thoughts softening, your body relaxing into stillness, until sleep finally comes, gentle as the tolling of a distant bell.